Hello all. When building a modern Python application, validating data is just as important as writing the core logic. Bad or unchecked data can cause, crashes, bugs, or even security problems. That's where Pydantic comes in. It is a library that uses Python type hints to validate and parse data automatically, making your code safer and more maintainable. In this video, we will cover how to define models, validating techniques, error handling, performance tips, and common pitfall to avoid. And also, we will cover the installation in this. Okay, first, let's go to VS Code, and you can select. I'm using Windows machine, so here I'll select Control Shift P, which will take you to command palette. From here you can create a virtual Python virtual environment. So I'm gonna select my Python latest version 3.13.7 as the interpreter. So it is taking time. Probably I'll pause the video and resume once the installation or the environment creation is completed. Yes, now the Python virtual environment creation is completed. Let's activate it in the terminal and then install Pydantic. Okay, by default it is activated. Let's install Pydantic. Pip install Pydantic is the command to install Pydantic library. And additionally, we can install Pydantic settings to manage the Pydantic set configurations. So, yep, both the library installations are completed. Let me create one test file. Maybe not in the environment. So outside main.py. Let's check if the import is working fine. Import Pydantic. Let me execute. Yeah, I did not receive any errors, which means the Pydantic is installed successfully. So we'll see how to define a model. So we'll use a basic example. Pydantic model is just a Python class that inherits from a base model. Each attribute is annotated with its type, and Pydantic makes sure that data matches. Let's create a basic model. So we need to import base model from Pydantic, and here we are using a class called user, which is inherits from base model, and we are using id, name, email, and id is an integer type, and the name we are using is string type, and email is also a string type. So we can call this we can create a user object, and let's call it, and let me say user1, and we are gonna use user. It is gonna auto prompt. Let's do let's say id2, and then name, I'll say Ajay, and email id example at abc.com. Okay, and if I print user1, I got the value, whatever was supplied to the class, I got all the values in the console. So internally, this Pydantic has done a validation, and the validation was successful because the uh, the input that we have given is exactly the object type, exactly the defined object type. So we got the values without any error. So if I say let me give 2 here instead of integer, now let's run it. Even now we got the output. That's because it is a sum intelligence. So if you give 2 without any alphabets, then it will consider this as an integer only. But if I give 1 here, okay, integer, then I would get value error. uh, as you could see, I have received a validation error because it is expecting a string type data here, but we have given a numeric value. So this is the basic model and the validation performed by the Pydantic. And additionally, we can use nested models as well. uh, for example, you can create one more class for address, and you can refer it in the user model. So that also can be done. For example, here we have imported the base model, and additionally we have imported list and optional uh, methods from typing, which is a, yep, utility we get along with the Python package. Okay, so it is similar to our previous example only, but additionally we have added address, and it is gonna take a list of addresses. So you can use more than one address here, and it should follow a specific structure. So in this case, the street uh, attribute is a string, and city is a string, and zip code is a optional. Okay, so let's try to define one. So it is in case if you want to have a nested data structure, nested structure, then you can define in this way. If you're familiar with you know uh, Django ORM, then you could easily relate to it. Like we defined a string field, integer field, and nested reference field from another database schema. So if you're familiar with Django ORM, then you could relate this very well. And now let me add address first. So address one is, I'm gonna say address uh, street 123 main street, and anytime. And then first I'm gonna remove this zip code, and I'm gonna create one more address, address 2. Here I'm gonna say zip code 12345. Okay, and now let's create a user1 in the address section. So it is making my work easier, this auto complete feature. So let me print now user1, then let's run it. As you could see, there is no validation and error, and it has accepted the to address and added to the address field. So this is how the nested feature works in Pydantic. Another important feature is that Pydantic provides helpers like conint, constr functions which you can use for specific limitation validation. For example, in this code, so we have imported the base model and conint and constr. So they will have they have some attribute belongs to it. For example, this is a product class, and in product we are taking three parameters, so name, quality, and then the price. So let's say your name should not exceed more than 50 character, then you can, and it should not be less than 2 character also. Then you can use this validation method, minimum length is equal to 2 and then maximum length is equal to 50. So in case if the value exceeds this defined length, then it is going to throw a validation error. In the similar way, for integers you can use gd equal to 0 and le equal to 1000. So greater than, it should be the value, quantity value should be greater than 0, and it should be lesser than 1000. So if this condition doesn't match, then you are gonna get a validation error. So let's define one and then see. Product 1 equal to product, and yeah, so let me run it. Okay, there is no error. Sorry, I missed to print the pure od1 value. Okay, it is working fine, we did not get any validation error. So let's reduce the length to 5. Okay, now if I run the same code, I'm gonna get an error, validation error, because the maximum allowed length is 5 and we have given the length, we have given the given more length of more than 5, so we have received a validation error. And additionally, in case you don't want to use the default validators and you want to write your custom validation method, that is also possible. You have to import a field validator from Pydantic. Okay, in this case we have a product which is taking two inputs, one is name, the other one is price. And field validator, we want to create a custom validation method for price. So what we have done, we have added a decorator, the field validator decorator, and we have given the field that we want to validate with a custom function. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are defining a custom method which would validate if the given integer, given price is in a positive side. So let's say it is not a negative value, that is what we are validating, and it should not be 0 also, right? So uh, let's define one product and see. Product, now we have given 19.99. So let me run it. So there are no errors, which means it has accepted the validation, the custom validation was successful and it did not throw any error, right? So as you could see, we have just given float here, we have not given any specific validator here. Now let me give -10 and run the same code. I got an error, validation error, and that is because, as you could see, price must be positive. It has invoked the custom validator that we have defined, and we have received a validation error. Now let's capture the error, and so if we defined it in this way, it is gonna break the program and it is gonna cause problem in the workflow. So in case if you want to capture the validation errors and handle it smoothly, then you can capture the validation error and then process it further with, if you have any workaround you can do it there, otherwise you can inform, notify it in the console and proceed with your remaining code, right? For capturing the validation errors you need to import validation error from Pydantic Pydantic package. And again, this section is new, so here we have imported email str which would validate whether it is a valid email or not. Okay, if it is an invalid, then invalid email address, then it is gonna throw a validation error. That validation error we are going to capture and print it on the screen. Okay, so currently I've given an invalid email id, so let me run it. Okay, to get this, we need to install email validator separately. Let me install it. So now let me run it again. And as you could see, input should be a valid integer. So here we have given a string. One error we have received for it. Okay, and also value is not a valid email address. So for email also we have received a validation error. Let's fix this one first. I'm gonna give one and invalid at example.com. Now I should not get any errors, right? So in case if you want to capture the validation errors and handle it in a efficient efficient way, then you could follow this method so that the code won't break. It has exceeded 17 minutes the video, so probably I'll cover the Pydantic settings options in a separate video. Okay, thank you.